The world watched in horror as a British schoolteacher's innocent actions led to riots in the streets of Sudan, the angry crowds demanding her death. But because the world was watching, infamous dictator and President Omar al-Bashir backed down and set her free. Because the world was watching, in our lifetime, a few brave men and women stood up for truth and righteousness. The Iron Curtain crumbled, and the world changed. Yet, while the world looks away, darkness pervades. Today, more women and children are enslaved worldwide than in any other time in our history. In the Sudan alone, there are over 200,000 slaves who are considered weapons and spoils of war. The Khartoum government is conducting and concealing a jihad, a holy war against its non-Muslim people.
You cannot declare jihad without expecting the slavery and taking concubines as a result.
Let's not forget who it is that we are dealing with. People who have committed genocide. 2 million people dead.
In my whole life, I've never seen this. I've never seen this. Oh God.
This is one of the examples we should show to the international community and those who have been talking all the time that Sudan government is genuine in its quest for peace. A peace covered with blood, the blood of the innocent.
For centuries, Sudanese Arabs have been taking the black tribal people from Sudan as slaves for their personal use, as well as exporting them to the Middle East and beyond. Today, this practice continues under the approving eye of Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir.
The Sudanese military and its agents, militias that it armed, were the ones carrying out the slave raids, and they used government transport, a train, to help bring these troops in, and in some cases carry the slaves back en masse to the north. There's plenty of evidence that this crime against humanity was done with the assistance and under the direction of the Sudanese government.
When we came to this area in the borderlands between northern and southern Sudan, that we saw the devastation of a slave raid for the first time and encountered people who had been enslaved and who had either escaped or their families had redeemed them from bondage.
The body and the head of the human being.
The body and the head of the human being.
The body and the head of the human being.
This is a human being. The whole world, we want to see the whole world. What is human rights? We want to see the whole world to see this. What is this? This is human. This is human being. In my life, in my whole life, since I was born up to this moment, I've never seen this. I've never seen this. Oh God.
The weapon of terror, the people of southern Sudan have been receiving this death day after day. As you are seeing now, the human being scattered all over. This is the antelope. The deadly shrapnels has done it worst of all in Malwalakon.
Like it is just like a cow meat in the butchery. You can see. We want to ask what is going on here.
While the peace talks are at effect in Nairobi between the Sudan government and the SPLM-SPLA, the Sudan government has launched its inhuman act today and targeted Malwalakon on the 23rd of June, year 2002. As now, you are seeing an innocent life lost to the shrapnels of antelope.
Yeah, this is one of the examples we should show to the international community and those who have been talking all the time that Sudan government is genuine in its quest for peace. A piece with such eggs. A piece covered with blood. The blood of the innocent who don't know what they are up for. These are the victims of the real Southern Sudanese people who are left to the mercy of NIF in Khartoum and their allies worldwide.
Local community leaders here have given estimates that would suggest that over 200,000 have been enslaved over a 20-year period.
The thought of human beings for sale moved me to taking action. As a filmmaker, I wanted to expose the atrocities and give a voice to those who have none.
The
most shocking thing happened to me. A small child was slaughtered and the head severed from the body. The Arabs forced me to carry the head. For 5 days, I was forced to carry that head, even though it had started to decompose and produce a strong stench. On the 5th day, they told me to throw the head by the wayside and to set it on fire. Although I became a slave and worked night and day herding the master's cattle, I think that all the bodily pain and suffering was less heavy on my spirit than the carrying of the head of the dead child. My master was called Hassan Abdul Rahman from Lagawa. A lot of Dinka tribesmen have remained behind as slaves of the Arabs. I hope that those who brought us back to Dinka territory can also do something to bring them back too.
These slaves are people with hopes and dreams. Even those who were born into slavery knew that they were meant to be free.
Welcome to your home. John Ivy. Pleased to meet you.
Once I came face to face with these individual slaves, I immediately connected with them, and I knew that I had to make this documentary.
How many men did this to her? How many men actually caught her and cut her through?
There are 4 men. I was taken down and I was raped at the same time.
When they were doing this?
Yeah.
You mean they cut her throat and then raped her?
When she becomes unconscious, caught my hand and legs, and one of them came with a knife.
Today, there may be over 100,000 slaves in Sudan still in captivity, and more slaves are being captured from the Darfur genocide. Just like the genocide in Nazi Germany, many nations in the world refuse to acknowledge that slavery exists and therefore refuse to liberate them. These slaves have disappeared and remain hidden in the darkness. My Slave, My Infidel is a 1-hour documentary film I have produced in order to show you their faces, tell you their names, share their stories, and allow you to hear their cry for help.
What will you do? Will you look the other way while the masses suffer? Or will you stand up and act?
There must be more pressure to shame the policies that allow the slavery to go on.
A Sudanese poet described his homeland best. Orphans roam the land, men have lost their heads, and mercy is foreign, alien, and far away from the land of the agile gazelle. You can restore mercy to the land. You can set the captives free. It only takes a few to give voice to the voiceless.
Freedom. We are free.
Will you?
Your freedom has been paid for. You should never be a slave again.
Mercy hangs in the balance. With your help, hope prevails.
We will carry on until the last slave is freed.
Showing soon, My Slave, My Infidel.